All right, guys, happy Monday afternoon. Hope everyone had a wonderful St. Patty's Day this weekend. But it's time for our weekly development calls. And this week we're on our soft skills, and we're very excited to have Senior Market Director out of Central California, Miss Amy, on the line to take us through arguably one of the most important essential skills out there, which is emotional intelligence. So, Amy, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks, Mary.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, happy St. Patty's Day. Hope everybody had a good day. And if you were in the restaurant, I know it was a little bit slower. Um, and I had some stout beer just to be part of the celebration. So we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, as Mary said. It's an important soft skill only because it helps for you to kind of take a deep dive into your self-awareness and how we react to things. And so we're going to get into a little bit about what it is and how we can improve ourselves as leaders. So, what it is the capacity to be aware of and control one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships with empathy. Um, Most often defined as the ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle emotions. It's a really broad spectrum of what emotional intelligence is. There's some research behind it. Some of the research in psychology, and we'll quote from a review from 2008. Psychologists found that better social relations for children when they expose them to what emotional intelligence would be. Let's see, among children and teens, emotional intelligence positively correlates with good social interactions, relationships, and negatively correlates with deviance from social norms, antisocial behavior measured in and out of school as reported by children themselves, their own family members, as well as their teachers. We can have better social relations for adults. High emotional intelligence among adults is correlated with better self perception of social ability and more successful interpersonal relationships with less interpersonal aggression or problems in those relationships. High emotionally intelligent individuals are perceived more positively by others. They are perceived, those with high EI, to be more pleasant, socially skilled, and empathetic to be around. Better academic achievement. Emotional intelligence is also correlated with greater achievement in academics, as reported by teachers, but generally not higher grades once the factor of IQ is taken into account. Better social dynamics at work as well, which is a big one for us here because we deal with a lot of personalities. Better well being. Emotional intelligence is positively correlated with higher life satisfaction, self esteem, and lower level of insecurity or depression. It is also negatively correlated with poor health choices and behavior. Emotional intelligent individuals are more likely to have a better understanding of themselves and to make conscious decisions based on emotion and rationale combined. Overall, it leads a person to self actualization. So, how can we achieve emotional intelligence? That's a lot of information. How do we start to get that? So, people who are self aware are also willing to take an honest look at themselves. They know their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and they continue to work on those areas so they can perform better. Many people believe that this self awareness is the most important part of emotional intelligence.
Go home. I can close. Are you there?
Hell yeah, dude. Come on.
Hell yeah.
So next would be part of emotional intelligence, how to work on that is self regulation. It's the ability to control your emotions and impulses. People who self regulate typically don't allow themselves to become too angry or jealous in situations, social situations, if that, and they don't make impulsive, careless decisions. They think before they act. You think about it as you teach toddlers and preschool children self-regulation because they don't know, they're still learning what's right and wrong. But even as adults in the social situation sometimes we're put in, we really have to just take a step back and reach inward and really try to be self-aware of what's in the situation and how you can, with some empathy, either reduce the amount of anger or like in the scenario, the heightness of this scenario, and try to cool your jets. So the third part of that would be motivation. People who are high in emotional intelligence are typically high productive. They love a challenge, very effective in whatever they do. You can think of it as kind of like, not in a negative sense, but they can manipulate the situation around them because they can already predict the other person or persons in the room or whoever's in the scenario. You can almost predict the way that they're going to react because you're highly aware of, with emotional intelligence, of how to help them react. If you react calmly, they're going to react calmly. And so, like in all of our day to day with not only our team members, but also with guests, if we can tap in and you get that high emotional intelligence and awareness, it's really only going to aid in how you're perceived. Step 4, tapped on it, empathy, the ability to identify with and understand the wants, needs, and viewpoints of those around you. People with good empathy are good at recognizing the feelings of others, even when those feelings may not be obvious. They also avoid stereotyping and judging too quickly, and they live their lives in a very open, honest way. And last but not least, social skills. We're all very social people in our day to day. We're kind of groomed to be that way in the industry that we are in. Uh, it's usually easy to talk and like people with good social skills. Those with strong social skills are typically team players. Rather than focusing on their own success first, they help others develop and shine. How to improve emotional intelligence. So here's a little feedback. You observe how you react to people. Do you rush to judgment before you know all the facts? Do you stereotype? Look honestly at how you think and interact with other people. Try to put yourself in their place and be more open and accepting of their perspectives and needs. Look at your work environment. Do you seek attention for accomplishments? Humility can be a wonderful quality, and it doesn't mean that you're shy or lack self confidence. When you practice humility, you say that you know what you did and can be quietly confident about it. Give others a chance to shine and put the focus on them, and don't worry too much about getting praise yourself. Do a self evaluation. What are your weaknesses, your opportunities? Are you willing to accept that you're not as perfect and that you could work on some areas to make yourself a better person? Have the courage to look at yourself honestly, and it can change your life. That's deep. Examine how you react to stressful situations. This is a big one. Do you become upset every time there's a delay or something doesn't happen the way you want? Do you blame others or become angry at them even when it isn't their fault? The ability to stay calm and in control in difficult situation is highly valued in the business world and outside it. Keep your emotions under control when things go wrong. That's a big ask sometimes, I know. Take responsibility for your actions. If you hurt someone's feelings, apologize directly. Don't ignore what you did or avoid the person. People are usually more willing to forgive and forget if you make an honest attempt to make things right. That's really humbling. I'm sure we've all been there. Examine how your actions will affect others before you take those actions. If your decision will impact others, put yourself in their place. How will they feel if you do this? Would you want that experience? You must take the action. How can you help others deal with the effects? So, how can you leverage what you're naturally good at doing or improve your emotional intelligence? I'm sure all of us have taken our Clifton strengths and know your top 5 in and out. And probably have learned that there is some real hard truth to some of them. If you haven't, you are able to request that Mary get you set up with the exam, if you will, I don't know another word for it. And then you would get a coaching section after and get to explore what those strengths mean and how you can leverage them, how they can negatively impact your overall day-to-day business life and personal life, because that's part of it too. So to recap, emotional intelligence is a key trait of an effective leader. Take a moment to look introspectively. How do you handle your own emotions, and how do you address the emotions of those around you? Can you easily pick up on how others are feeling? Like putting yourself in someone else's shoes is sometimes, you coin that term. How can you influence the emotions of others intentionally? That's part of also being empathetic, is that you can motivate and manipulate the outcome for positive interaction. On the next slide, we have the message. I feel the Piet Chang's team is truly glad I'm here and will do everything they can to make me want to come back. So a little bit different than, that's our emotional intelligence message. Create those personal connections, empathy, surprise and delight, the limo ride tailored to guests' needs.
Yes. So this is Eduardo's perception of the message with all of the things that we can do to create this for our guests. Sorry to jump in there, Amy. Just wanted to share why it looks a little different.
Yeah, I figured it looked like a reboot. I like it. There is a really great book on emotional intelligence by one of the original authors who kind of made it in streamline. His name is Daniel Goleman, Goleman. He is a PhD Pulitzer Prize winner. So he won the Pulitzer Prize for his book on emotional intelligence. It's a really good read. So if you wanted a little more insight to that, I'm sure it's on your Audible or Libby, any of those platforms.
Awesome. Well, we will pause here. Yeah, thank you, Amy. Any questions or anyone have any thoughts or great resources on emotional intelligence they'd like to share with the group? Neato Shishito. Well, that is all from us today.
I'm sorry, Mary.
Yeah,
this is Scott. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I got a quick questions about the Clifton's test. I know I can't remember how long ago it was that we did it with you at our one of our last meetings, but can you take the test again and see if you've changed, or is there a certain time frame, or has it been your experience that your traits typically don't change that much?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And actually Gallup, who created and upkeeps the Clifton Strengths Assessment, has some really great data on this very question. I don't have it all memorized, but just to kind of give you a gist, they don't really recommend retaking the assessment because the likelihood of you getting dramatically different results is pretty slim. You might have some shifting between, your number 1 may become your number 5, and something that was maybe number 9 for you might jump up to number 2. There might be some shifting in kind of what your prominent strengths are, but it's very rare that you see a dramatic change in your top strengths overall. And that's really what strengths is about. So they say if you do really want to retest that, you should do it no sooner than every 5 years, and sometimes dramatic life events like becoming a parent or losing a dear loved one sometimes can have some impact on your top strengths, but in short, you can, but you're not likely to see any dramatic changes in your top 5. It's a good question.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Amy, so much for taking us through some great self-regulatory tips for emotional intelligence. I know you shared with us that things like being calm in stressful situations and really keeping yourself in check in your day-to-day life is the key to emotional intelligence. And then also being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It can give you better life satisfaction. It can make you more successful, more motivated. So very important for us as leaders as we guide our teams. But thank you, Amy. Great presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your Monday afternoon. We'll catch you all again next week for our next Technical Skills office hours. But have a good one, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Amy. Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, guys.